I still remember the sound of the fork dropping on the dinner table when I said the word, perfect. It wasn't loud enough to be dramatic, but the silence that followed. That was deafening. My mom's face froze mid-bite, my sister's smug smile faltered just a bit, and my dad looked like he wanted to vanish into his mashed potatoes. That was the night everything I'd been holding in for years finally came spilling out, and it all started because my mother, for reasons I'll never understand, decided to announce to everyone at the table that my sister had always been the provider. Tell me honestly, if your own mother publicly declared that your sibling was the only one who ever mattered, would you stay silent? Or would you do what I did? Because what I said next turned a casual family dinner into a full-blown emotional war. Let me back up a bit, because this moment didn't just appear out of nowhere. My family has always had this hierarchy. My older sister, Emily, is the golden child, the achiever, the doctor, the one who, in my mom's eyes, can do no wrong. And me, I'm Mark, the one who, according to her, never quite figured things out. Growing up, it was painfully clear where the love went. Emily got the brand new clothes, the extracurriculars, the attention. I got the leftovers, hand-me-downs, used textbooks, and a pat on the back when I brought home good grades that never seemed to impress anyone. My dad was quiet, always trying to keep the peace, but my mom, she made sure everyone knew who her favorite was. Even as adults, that pattern never changed. When Emily graduated med school, Mom threw her a massive party. When I graduated in business, with honors, by the way, I got a good job, honey, and a cake from the grocery store. Emily bought Mom a car when she got her first big paycheck. I was still paying off student loans, trying to build a small business from scratch, and all I ever heard was, "Why can't you be more like your sister?" It was exhausting, and I told myself it didn't bother me anymore, until that dinner. It was supposed to be just another Sunday night family gathering, the kind we'd been doing since we were kids. Mom insisted we keep the tradition alive, though I suspect she just wanted to brag about Emily's latest accomplishment. This time, Emily had apparently gotten some big promotion at her hospital. She walked in wearing her designer coat, a gift from Mom, of course, and handed Mom a fancy box, a smartwatch or something expensive, because that's what she always did. It wasn't the gift that irritated me, it was the performance. Mom would gush and cry, Emily would act humble, and I'd sit there smiling, pretending not to care. Dinner started off predictably. Mom asked about Emily's work, about her amazing leadership, about her patients who adore her. She didn't ask me a single question. Not one. When Dad tried to bring up my new business project, a logistics startup that had just landed a decent client, Mom interrupted him. "Let's not talk about work," she said, laughing. "We're celebrating Emily tonight." And that's when it happened. Out of nowhere, as she raised her wine glass, my mom said, loud and proud, "You know, Emily has always been the provider in this family. We're all so lucky to have her." The room went quiet. I felt my stomach twist. Emily smiled that fake, modest smile she always did, and said, "Oh, Mom, that's not true." But she didn't really deny it. She loved it. She soaked it in like sunlight. And that's when I said it, calmly, clearly, and with a smile that probably terrified them all. "Perfect," I said. Everyone froze. My mom blinked, confused. "What do you mean, perfect?" she asked, frowning. I leaned back in my chair and said, "Perfect. That means from now on, Emily's the provider. She's got it all covered, right?" My dad looked like he'd swallowed his drink wrong. Emily frowned, and Mom's face turned red. "Mark," she said sharply, "don't be ridiculous. You know what I meant." But I wasn't in the mood to let it slide this time. "No, Mom," I said. "I think it's great. You've been saying it my whole life. Emily's the responsible one, the successful one, the provider. So let's make it official. Now, before I tell you what happened next, I want to know, what would you have done? Would you have let it go? Or would you have finally snapped after years of being treated like the family disappointment?" Because I had reached my limit. You see, what my mom didn't know was that my life had quietly changed in the past year. My business, the one no one cared to ask about, had taken off. I wasn't struggling anymore, far from it. I had moved into a nice condo, bought a car, and was even planning to hire a few employees. But I didn't brag. I didn't announce it because I knew exactly what would happen. They'd downplay it, twist it, or worse, credit Emily somehow. So, I stayed quiet. Until that night, I looked across the table and said, Since Emily's the provider, I guess she'll be covering the mortgage help you asked me for, Mom. Her fork froze midair. What? She said, her voice cracking. You said you needed help catching up on your payments, remember? I guess Emily's got it. She's the provider. My dad coughed awkwardly, Emily's face turned pale, and my mom looked furious. That's not funny, Mark, she said. You know she already helps us enough. Oh, I know, I said, keeping my tone calm. She helps you with the bills, the gifts, the image. But when you needed someone to fix the water heater last winter, who drove over at midnight and paid the plumber up front? That was me. When Dad's truck broke down last month, who paid for the repairs? That was me too, but I don't remember getting a thank you dinner for that. Emily shifted in her seat. Mark, this isn't necessary, she said softly. You're making things awkward. I turned to her. Oh, don't worry, Em. It's been awkward my whole life. I'm just finally acknowledging it. My dad tried to calm things down, but I wasn't done. I told them everything I'd held in, how I'd always been the backup, the forgotten one. How every time I achieved something, it was compared to whatever Emily did better. You call her the provider, I said, but what about emotional support? When Dad was in the hospital after his surgery, who stayed every night? Not Emily, she was too busy. Who made sure the house was stocked, the bills were paid, and Mom was okay? That was me, but none of that counts, does it? Because I don't wear a white coat. My mom tried to interrupt, but I didn't stop. You made me feel like a guest in my own family, Mom. Like I had to earn your love through paychecks and status. And you know what? I'm done doing that. The silence that followed was thick. Emily looked like she was about to cry, but I couldn't tell if it was guilt or embarrassment. My dad looked at me with a strange mix of sadness and pride, like he wanted to say something but knew it wasn't his place. My mom sat there, stunned, gripping her napkin so tightly her knuckles turned white. Finally, she spoke. You're being dramatic, she said coldly. No one ever said we didn't appreciate you. I laughed, not a happy laugh, but the kind that comes from realizing someone will never understand you. You just did, I said. You said it in front of everyone. Emily has always been the provider. Not once have you acknowledged anything I've done. That's when I stood up, picked up my plate, and said, so, perfect. From now on, you don't have to expect anything from me. The providers got it covered, and I walked out. For weeks, my phone blew up with messages. My mom tried guilt-tripping me, saying I'd embarrassed the family. Emily called a few times, apologizing, but I could tell she didn't fully get it. She said, you know how Mom is, as if that excused everything. My dad eventually came by, quietly dropping off some of my stuff that I'd left behind. He didn't say much, but before he left, he hugged me and said, you did what you had to do, son. That meant more to me than anything else that night. A few months later, I heard from a cousin that my mom was telling people I'd gone distant because of some silly misunderstanding. I didn't bother correcting her. I was tired of fighting for validation. Instead, I focused on my business, which kept growing. Eventually, I moved into a bigger place and started mentoring other small entrepreneurs. For the first time, I felt proud, not because someone else said I should be, but because I finally believed it myself. Then, about a year later, something unexpected happened. Emily showed up at my office. She looked different, tired, maybe even humbled. She said she'd been thinking a lot about what happened. Mom's not easy, she said quietly. She pits us against each other. I didn't realize how bad it was for you. I was skeptical, but as we talked, I could tell she meant it. She confessed that she'd always felt pressured to be perfect, that Mom constantly compared her to me, too, just in a different way. She told me once, Emily said, that if I ever failed, you'd laugh. That's how she kept me trying so hard. It hit me then, my mom had manipulated both of us, just differently. I'd been made to feel invisible, and Emily had been made to feel indispensable. We were both puppets in her twisted idea of pride. So, Emily and I made a pact that day, to stop letting her divide us. We started meeting for coffee, talking like actual siblings, not rivals. It wasn't easy, but it was healing. Eventually, Mom found out we were getting along and tried to insert herself back into the picture. One night, she called and said, I'm glad you two have made up. Maybe now we can all be a family again. I told her calmly, we're trying, Mom. But it's going to take time. And respect, she didn't like that word. Respect, to her, meant obedience. But I wasn't that person anymore. To this day, family dinners are different. Smaller, quieter. Emily and I still go sometimes, but we sit together now, united. Mom still slips in little comments, but I just smile and say, perfect, and she knows exactly what that means. Looking back, I don't regret what I said that night. It wasn't about revenge, it was about finally standing up for myself. For years, I let their narrative define me, and that one word, perfect, shattered it. So if you've ever felt like the forgotten one in your own family, I get it. Sometimes, the only way to find peace is to stop chasing approval and start demanding respect. So, what do you think? Was I wrong for what I did? Would you have stayed quiet or spoken up too? Let me know in the comments, I really want to hear your take. And if you've ever had a family moment that changed everything, share it below. Like this video if you think I did the right thing, subscribe for more stories like this, and as always, I'll see you all in the next story.